Welcome, everyone, to episode 9.2 of It's Not a Meisner podcast. Last episode, we discussed the very, very important concept of positive choices. It's very important that actors don't grind their performance to a halt because they unwillingly and unwittingly made a bunch of choices that caused them to close off experience. Our guest today is sort of the embodiment of positive choices. She represents everything I would want every young actor to see in an actor. I don't think she knows the concept of 90-10 that we talked about in our last episode. I do not think that's a concept that she's consciously working with or working from, but she does it. She embodies it. And I know because I directed her in a play and I watched her work. And, my original thought was, I've seen her on television. How the heck is she doing this? And then I worked with her and I saw it. So we couldn't be happier to have with us the great, great actor of film and television, and now theater, because she literally has done one play in her life, and I directed her in it, and she's also become a friend. So here is our discussion with Kaley Cuoco. It should not be acting training, it should be actor training.
Am I a good actor?
Like me doing...
It's not a Meisner podcast.
Talking about acting is my worst nightmare. So not the best soundbite for you.
So it was a big mistake to ask you to come on, Kaley? Is that
It might be a mistake for you. We'll see. This is definitely not my forte, talking about what I do. It's actually the last thing I usually do. So I'm
and
very
that's
curious.
why but that's why we wanted to have you on. I swear to you.
Yep.
This is a podcast on acting for all actors, but we will kind of hope it's also for young actors who are just starting out. And they should know that you're a great actor. I'm afraid that you don't get enough. I was thinking about you, Kaley, and that we're going to speak. Well, first of all, we should say out loud that you and I are friends, and
We are old friends.
We love each other. So
Love, deep love.
I was thinking about you, and actually, you know what? Before we start, we should ask the question that's burning on everyone's mind.
Ooh.
How's Tildy?
I was thinking I might have timed this poorly. She's probably gonna be home soon. You're gonna hear her, "Mama!" yelling in the other room. So we'll see. She might make an appearance today. You never know.
Yeah. Matilda is Kaley's gorgeous. Kaley, I had listen, this is weird. I don't really dream. I dream, but I don't ever remember them.
Yeah.
I swear to God, I think because I been thinking about you. I had a dream where I was babysitting Tildy for you and Tom. But,
anytime.
But here's the thing. I flew from New York to LA to watch. Later, I was like, probably have people closer.
You know what? She would be so happy to be with Uncle Kevin. So anytime.
Anyway, but this is, Kaley was funny to start this interview by saying, my worst nightmare is to talk about acting.
I'm the worst person to be on this podcast.
No, you are not.
I am.
And I know for a fact, because I directed you in your one and only play.
One and only play. One and only forever.
No, because I'm going to get you again. There's a really funny story that I was at Tildy's first birthday party in Philadelphia. And it was an amazing party, a bouncy house and a taco truck. It was you throw a great party, Kaley.
Thank you.
And every kid there left, and adults too, they left like a stuffed Minnie Mouse or something. It was just great, Mickey Mouse or whatever. But I'm sitting at a table with some former students. We're all sitting here at a table inside. We never even went out. Tom happened to come by, so he stopped to talk. Kaley comes in, she looks at us and is like, "Oh, is this the actor table?"
It was. It was a table full of actors. I'm like, you're supposed to disperse and go eat an ice cream cone, Go jump in the bounce. What is this shit? What are you guys talking about? Enough. And I knew they were talking about acting.
Acting. She's like, you come to a child's birthday party and you sit and talk about acting. Is that what this is?
They all found each other. You found each other.
But then we felt very shamed.
So, well, I shame people easily. So yeah.
You did.
Yeah.
Absolutely did.
Yeah.
But the next crazy thing, of course, is I told you this, Kaley. I told my mom that Kaley and Tom is my former student, and she knows Tom. She's met him once or twice. And he said, "Hey, do you know Tom is seeing?" This was very early on. She's seeing a Kaley. He's seeing Kaley Cuoco, and my mom says to me, "Oh, she was in Northern Exposure."
Oh my God.
And I go, "No, Mom, that can't be true. Kaley's very young. She's a young woman. There's no way she was in that show from the 90s. So then I asked Kaley, I go, "Kaley, I'm just going to, I'm kind of patronizing my mom here. Were you ever in Northern Exposure?" Kaley goes, "Yeah, I was 8.
I was actually 5.
No.
I believe I was 5 in that. It was one of my first. I was very, very, very little. Very little. You know what? I'll never forget. I can't believe some of the things I remember. My character's name was Randy with an I. And I always loved that name my whole life because I had to say in it, my name's Randy with an I. It was one of my lines. And I'll never forget it. And I always thought, God, that'd be such a good name for a kid. I've thought that ever since I shot that show 35 years ago.
It's amazing.
I know. So your mom was right.
Yeah, but what's with my mom going, I remember her from Northern. She didn't say she was a child. She just said that you.
That's a random pull, too. A random pull. I'm impressed.
Isn't that crazy?
Yes, it's insane. It's very.
But then if you said to her, she's also was in like the Big Bang Theory, my mom would be like, "I what?"
Yeah, exactly. Which I think is great.
Well, so will you talk about that being a child act? What the heck brought you to it? Like, do you just knew you wanted to?
It's a weird thing. My parents were and are amazing. I think it all starts with that. Very, very lucky. And when I was very little, they were always encouraging me to do multiple things. I wanted to act. I thought I was going to be the professional tennis player. I loved art. There were so many things I wanted to do. And I wanted to audition for commercials, and I got a print agent. It was very, very little. And I loved it from a very young age. I knew that I loved it. And, at that time, it was kind of before. I was thinking about this morning, thinking of kids now that are auditioning. There's so many Zooms now, so you don't really drive in as much as we used to. I mean, we used to live 2 hours away. My mom, after school, she picked me up from school early. I go to my audition, 2 hours there, get dinner, 2 hours home. I mean, just day in and day out that was the time of like pilot seasons and like 50 auditions in a week. I mean, it was so crazy. But I loved it. But my parents never let me just do the one thing. So I was acting. Yes, I went to tennis camps. I went and did all these crazy things. And so nothing was ever, I don't know if this is, well, no, I think it's good because I'm good with it today. Nothing was ever a true devastation as far as like a child actor goes, meaning, when you're little, you don't understand. I didn't get that job. Like, it's so confusing, right? Or like someone was better than you or whatever. None of those things affected me because if I didn't get that, I was off to do the next hobby and I was off with my friends doing this. And so they were always, they never wanted me just to do the one thing. I mean, the cheesy saying of all your eggs in one basket. It was always, you got to do multiple. I rode horses. I loved animals. So my hand was in so many things that nothing got me down in a way. And that has held with me my entire career, where nothing, I mean, we'll probably get into it in a bit. There's been maybe 2 jobs that have really bummed me out, but that's out of 35 years. I just don't go down that hole, but I think it started very young and I loved it. I remember I did a film, called Virtuosity. It was a film with Denzel Washington, and it was Russell Crowe's first American movie. And I played Kelly Lynch's daughter. And I don't know if any young kids know who Kelly Lynch is, but she was a very hot thing back in the day. And they thought it was going to be such a huge move, like huge. And it totally bombed. It was not good, but it was an amazing experience. I was like 8 years old. And I remember my parents sitting me down in their living room saying, when I got this job, saying, listen, this is like real, you're doing like a big person job. Do you understand? I was like, yeah. And like, no, but really, like, you're going to work, you're working with famous people, you have this is like a different thing than what you've been doing. And I remember that conversation so clearly. It was the first time they really wanted to see if I got it. And I did. And I said, this is what I want to do. And I couldn't wait to go do this. And my parents, to their credit, said, okay, let's do it. And they just went with this feeling that it was something I wanted to do from a young age. But again, I had to have other things. I couldn't just do that.
Right.
You know?
And so then you're not really a child actor. You're a child who acts, but you also play tennis and
It was multiple things. And my parents it really starts with a good set of parents. I mean, you hear these horror stories, or I'm so lucky I had nothing like that. They were supportive. They really wanted me to do well, but they had me do so many different things that nothing felt so intense as far as a child actor. I was just a kid who acted.
Yeah, but you know something, you're still like that though. See, I think one of your great strengths also is you have other things that you value other things. You know, we were teasing before about, oh, the actors table, like all you guys, you go to a party and you sit and talk acting. You were at a damn party, and you have rescue, you have a ranch with rescue horses and other animals. You have your own production company where you're the boss of it. You have Matilda, you have Norman and yes, Norman, right? You have a company that has nothing to do with film or television or whatever. It's dog food and dog toys and dog wellness and all that kind of stuff. You're a very well-rounded person. You're a person.
Thank you.
You know what I mean? You're a person and you also act.
Well, that's why I was laughing, because I was thinking, oh my God, how am I going to talk about acting? I had to like think about what I would even say because I laugh. Tom and I, when I look at Tom, and he could sit and talk about acting all day. Like, and I mean that in the loveliest way. And he can get so deep about it, philosophical. And I'm just like thinking about what craft service is going to be, and like what lunch is coming, and when is are we getting our we just look at things so differently that it's also, I think, why it works with him. And I feel, oh my God, 2 actors, it's never going to work. It's different with Tom and I, because Tom and I do 2 different things. We have 2 different careers. we work differently. We prepare differently. We just do it differently. So it's almost like, oh, you do it like that. Like it's totally different.
Yeah, but I have to tell you something. I had this other thought when I knew I was going to talk to you, and it occurred to me that at least 2 things I wanted to talk to you about. They're going to sound insulting, but it's the best thing for an actor to hear.
Okay.
The first one, I was like, what is it about Kaley? And I thought of Stanislavski's quote. They asked Konstantin Stanislavski, like the great-great-grandpa of acting, what is the most important attribute for an actor to have? You'd think he would have said, you have to have a deep soul and emotional. He said, personal charm.
Oh.
Now, that can sound insulting. It could sound like I'm saying, well, Kaley's just charming and that's all she has. No, but what he meant, personal charm, to us is when you get out of the way and you don't convolute things, the actual essence of you comes through. So he didn't mean charming. He meant you're the most you. And that comes through.
Well, that's,
and I think you carry that it comes through.
Thank you. That's so nice.
You know what it is? It's inviting. The audience gets invited in.
That's what I always want I want people to feel like they're just watching their friend, and that they can laugh and enjoy. And that's what I've been doing my whole career. I just want to entertain, and it's what I do best. I know what I can do. I know what I bring, and I know that that's there, and that's part of the enjoyment and the freedom and the lightheartedness that I want to portray.
That's it, and it's all there. The second thing I thought that could sound insulting, but I swear to you, I want everyone at home listening to this. You don't overthink. Now that could sound like I'm saying Kaley doesn't think. No, she doesn't convolute and she doesn't complicate. She is doing her work. She's making choices. But once she makes the choice, she doesn't go, maybe it's this or it could be that. Like you don't agonize. And then I want when I work with young actors and they think the thing to do is to complicate it because, I'm such a complicated person. I'm like, no, you're getting in your own way. And we can't see you through all that bullshit. Would you say that, Kaley, that you just, is it trust or confidence or what is it that lets you just go, I know what I'm doing and I just do it?
That's extremely nice. That's a huge compliment, and I take that deeply in my heart. I don't overthink anything. I will say I don't overthink anything in life either. I'm not someone that if I don't sit on decisions, I am the same on screen as I am off. I'm like, pick that one. I want that one. We're going here. Like there's no, should I get, I don't do that. And I never have. So I have that gift in me anyway, whether it's good or bad. That's just my personality. And I've brought that to the characters I play and the jobs that I've had. I don't overthink anything. To sometimes people, it can be off-putting to someone who's like, does she care about this? Is she crying? Is there an effort going on? It's funny. I just finished a job and I was finishing a limited series overseas. And when I met the director on Zoom, I had never worked with him. And I said, listen, I just want to tell you, sometimes it might seem like I don't care or that I'm not, it might confuse you what my process is. I promise you, I know exactly what I'm doing. I have a plan. It might not look like yours, but I promise you, I am right there with you in case, because I do think sometimes people think I really am. I don't overthink anything. I mean, when I'm talking about craft service on set, I'm dead serious. Like, I'm like, Tom will die. I could be doing the most, I'm a good multitasker too. I think a lot of women are, but I am like, I could be doing the most emotional scene right with you. Here we are. While I'm like texting 40 things on the groceries we need to get from Matilda while they're rolling, I'll be like, and then get the horses and then I'm like, and I'm like right there. And then they cut and I'm like, oh my God, did the text like that is a gift I have. Whereas, and I like to compare to Tom because we are so different. Tom, it was hard for me to understand his process when we met because he said to me, when I'm shooting, I don't bring my phone to set. And I was like, huh? Like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, when am I going to text you? He's like, I can't look at my phone and work. That was like, blew my mind because I'm like, you can't? Like, why? Like, what's so hard? Like, I couldn't understand getting to know him now. I understand who he is and what his process is. But for me, like, I don't overthink it. And I'm very in the moment. I don't like rehearsing, which again can be throw people to be like, why aren't we? I don't want to rehearse. I tend to ask someone to tell me, okay, where do you want me to start and where do you want me to end? And finding it is like the most fun, magical. That's how it's my gut, my heart, what I feel in the moment. And sometimes I don't even know what I'm going to do, but I know it's going to be the right thing. I know it.
Yeah.
It may that be my confidence, but I do know it's the right thing.
Yeah. Now, for somebody who said they don't like to talk about acting and don't know how they do what they do, you just articulated it.
Well, I'm a performer, Kevin.
No, but listen, this is what you just said is really important. First of all, side note, you're the only actor I've ever worked with that I let have their phone with them. You were on stage and because, well, going back to what I said before, you have such a full life. You've got a lot of things going on. And I'm thinking, you're running a production company. It's possible you just got a text about some film or television thing that's being done, and you're doing it. And I'm like, I can't tell her not to do it. But also, what you just said is a version of what we're always saying, which is you should put your attention on something else. Clear your mind. Then when action is called, you go, I am fully present. Yeah. I didn't have to be off stage going, I got to prep. That could work against you. But if you've done your homework and everything's in there, You could be texting or talking to somebody. The second they call rolling, you go,
Here I am.
I'm present.
Yeah.
And you also just said, I have a plan, but I'm not going to, you don't want to mark it out because there's no spontaneity in that, no impulsivity.
And it's not how I work. I really love to shoot from the hip. And it can, again, some people, it can throw them. And I have to kind of, when I'm working with someone that maybe have such a specific process, or Chris Messina is a great example. I mean, one of my nearest and dearest, you know, when we first, he is, obviously Kevin knows him well now too, a mega preparer, mega overthinker, insecure, which is hilarious because insecure about choices when I'm like, you're the most brilliant actor I've ever worked with. And it's almost like so endearing. And he's like, let's talk about it. I don't know, should we do that? And I'm like, Chris, you're the best. Like everything you do is brilliant. And we were so different. And we played husband and wife for 2 seasons. And it was so funny because I do think him and I helped him be a little freer. And he actually grounded me at moments. So they're going to learn from your scene partners too. And like, you also want to give a little, you love the person you're working with. It's like, okay, I want to help you and you're going to help me. And we're going to find a balance, especially if you're in a lot of stuff together. And we found our balance brilliantly, but he's a great example of like polar opposite than me.
So here's the portion of our show where very often we'll name somebody and invite our audience to go look him up. I hope you know who Chris Messina is. If you don't, what an actor. If you look him up and don't know who he is, the second you see him, you'll go, oh, that guy, I do know him and he's great. And he's in a play right now in Williamstown. He's doing a Tennessee Williams play. And a former student of mine is in that play with him.
Oh, you're kidding.
He emailed me and he said, okay, we just had the first table read. And Chris was up and he just lit up. Everyone was like, oh, first on the call, he's going to be like that. We better all raise our game. He said that guy just brought it. And I said, oh, you know, Chris I'd love to hear it because a student of mine was learning from a guy that I work with sometimes as a coach. And
I think that's so cool. That's so cool.
Is this the Camino Real?
No, he was in Camino Real was done up there. Nicolas Chavez was in that. Nick Chavez was also a former student of mine, and he's in that one. I have 2 students up there, 2 different plays.
That's amazing.
No, isn't that great? This was not about nightingales.
Oh, cool.
Not about nightingales. And Chris was the main actor in that one. And you know, it's an ensemble play that's set in a prison. So you bet he tore it up.
Oh, he's so
spectacular.
Great. Yeah.
Would you say, Kaley, like that? It's funny you brought up Denzel and virtuosity. I don't know if Kevin, you told me this, but I don't know if we brought it up on the podcast. That study that they did where when action's called, Denzel's blood pressure goes down.
Yeah.
Would you say the same is for you, Kaley? Like, because you're a producer, a mother, a actress, you know, all this stuff, entrepreneur, that when you're in the scene, you actually can just focus on one thing and let it be that?
I think yes. My blood pressure definitely doesn't go up. So I think, sure. I think it's also one of my things that I love doing. It brings me such joy. It's not my whole, and again, back to being 5, 6, 7, 8 years old. It's not my whole life, even to this day. It's still one of my favorite. I love being an actor. It's one of my favorite things, but I also love, 800 other things. And I'm grateful that I can work and that I get work. And I know how, trust me, I know even this day and age, how difficult that is. And so I truly enjoy the moment. I mean, even over the last handful of years, probably since Big Bang, the joy and that show brought me and the amount of fun we would have, I wanted to make sure that I had that in every job that I have. And so you will not meet a single crew member, cast member that leaves a job that I'm a part of that says they didn't have the best time. Like that is so important. And it's because I come in with I don't overthink and I'm with everyone and we're talking, we're having fun. And there is an energy, and Chris is the same way. Chris Messina is the same way. Like that is all part of it too. You start with that good energy and you're bringing that kindness and happiness. It's going to make everyone better. It's going to make everyone happier. It's just a better place to work. And at my age and after doing this for so long, like that's all I want to be doing. And that's what I want to surround myself with.
Mm.
Again, for anybody listening who hasn't had a ton of experience on set, what they refer to as number one on the call sheet, right? That's the person whose show it is, essentially. That person's energy can make or break the whole
Oh,
thing.
oh, can it ever?
You
Truly.
get that person who, from the top down, is sending this energy of like, isn't it curious, Kaley, that some people who get to do what you do for a living can still find a way to bitch about it or be sort of, I go, you go work in an office, man. That's where when you're in a cubicle, you're supposed to be bitter and kind of shut down, but you get to do this for a living. Why are you bringing that energy? Then it makes its way through the whole set. And
No,
that's
I get it. It drives me crazy. There's no excuse. There's just no excuse. I also understand people that are serious on set and that really it's a different experience for them. But what you're sending out there is important too. And if for me, obviously, I'm the extreme of like, let's have fun. I'm always out completely probably on the other end of the spectrum, and I understand there are people that are much more serious, and it maybe even learning dialogue is more difficult, or just things that are a little more difficult for them, so they end up being a little more internalized. But you better have that other side and that joy. I mean, we're having fun. We're making
Yeah,
TV. Like, are you kidding? This is our job. This is our job.
yeah. Yeah, I often say to my actors, why do you think they call it a play when you're in a play? It's like you're playing, for God's sake. But at the same time, Kelly, you just kind of circled around this. If you're on set and you see somebody who has a certain energy that they need to be sort of with themselves in this series, then you don't go up and mess around. You go. I see what you're doing, and I leave you like. Sometimes I've had students who will just be very loud backstage, and I'm like, don't you see that everybody else wants to sort of, can you read the room is really.
Read the room. And I think it depends on the project too. I mean, I'm thinking of when I was working with Chris on Based on a True Story, that was a very lighthearted, silly, over the top. So everyone involved was like that 24/7. You go to a set like Tom's show, Task, where it was a very serious, and everyone was amazing, but like different sort of subject matter, very intense. It's just a different vibe, and they're both wonderful in their own way. And you get so many different things but yeah, it is reading the room, and sometimes the subject matter can like lead you in a certain direction.
Yes, yeah. In the company that I have in New York, we call it the unified field, meaning, can't you feel the atmosphere in the room?
Yes.
And it can change on a dime, by the way, but we're all in this together. We're not all behaving the same way, but essentially we're in the same atmosphere.
Completely. Yes. Yes.
Yeah. All right. I'm going to hold your feet to the fire a little bit.
No.
I know you don't want to talk about it, but in the previous episode, we talked about positive choices. We talked about a concept that we have called 90-10, right? The character is 90% one thing and 10% the opposite of that thing. So it lets the actor play essentially 90% of the thing, but they also have in them not another thing, but the exact opposite of that thing, so that the actor can make positive choices like, no, I can pull that other thing up. It's 10%, but it's there. I love that you're looking at me like, you are the embodiment of that.
I'm really trying to understand what you're saying right now.
Let's look at Flight Attendant. My God.
No, I really
my
have.
God.
Wait, explain. Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Your work in Flight Attendant, among other things. I've seen you in other things, but Flight Attendant is, I first saw Flight Attendant. I didn't know you. You weren't with Tom yet. So I'm watching you I'm not going, oh, here's Kaley. I know her. I'm like, I don't know this person from anything, but I turned to my wife and I'm like, this is an act. Like Donna was like, she's on Big Bang Theory. I go, I don't know what that is, but this actor is amazing. Kaley, to this day, I've never seen.
That's great. I don't think Tom has there.
But I was like, I'm trying to explain to my wife, do you understand what this woman's doing? Because Donna loved it, but she's like, I don't know why this is so appealing. And I said, she has the capacity to deeply immerse in the reality of the I don't want to give away Flight. Let's say this, everyone hearing my voice, go watch Flight Attendant.
Oh.
And if you don't watch anything else, just watch the first episode. You'll see what I'm talking about. Kaley has the capacity for understanding the circumstance, and the circumstance the character is in is not good. It's brutal. And if you take it truthfully, it's bad. So here you are living through it 100%, but the character you're playing has an essence of them also that is a bit impulsive and kind of quirky and all that. You know how to pull one out and then the other, but you don't play 50-50. Do you see what I mean? You play 90% and 10% of the opposite of that, so that that little thing can pop when it has to. You don't have to go searching for it. You go, no, it was essential in my makeup to begin with.
Yeah.
So I'm saying, well, first, the fact that I brought that up and I loved you looking like, it already tells me the answer.
Genuinely thinking about what you just said, because
I kind of, now I'm afraid that I might get you to know that you do it. So I'm not going to point to any of it. But is it part of your process to know that you know the material you're in? And when it calls for your character to have a certain behavior, because in that thing, I'm talking too much about it, I want you to talk, but in that thing, you play deadly serious because of the trouble you're in. You also play really funny because the character's kind of funny and quirky, and then you have this third gear where it's funny, serious, and I'm like, how the fuck is she doing this? Like you're in the circumstance you're in, and you're dying, and it's real, and then someone will do something, and your response to it is very funny, even though you're still in the serious circumstance. But you can pull it out in a nanosecond, then back. It's extraordinary. Do you know that you're doing it and how you do it? And maybe you shouldn't talk about it because I don't want to be the one known for ruining Kaley Cuoco's brilliant.
couldn't go. You would never. That's so nice. First of all, thank you. Yeah, it was kind of an invented tone on the spot. It's like kind of as I went. I've told this story a lot, so people might have heard it and you might have heard it, but I'll do it quickly. At the time, I was looking for books to option and what was I going to do after Big Bang, and kind of the little looking what was going to be the next thing. And my team was like, what's the next thing? Because this is when Big Bang we knew was ending. So, and again, my attitude was like, it'll come, something great will come, and they were like, what's next? So you find a book. Do you want a book? All this stuff. I'm like, I don't want to read a book. Like I have to read a book to find a book. Like, oh, it all sounded like so annoying. So I was kind of half looking at books, possibly that could be interesting, really, truly half looking. And true story, I was looking at upcoming books that weren't even available yet. And I saw the cover of Flight Attendant, and it was blonde hair. It was kind of in this movement. And I said, the Flight Attendant. And I read the synopsis. I read 2 sentences. Every time I mention, I get a chill. I just got one right now. I got a chill when I read it that day. It was literally something like alcoholic flight attendant wakes up in the wrong hotel, like very quick, what does she do? And I was like, oh, is this a movie? Is this a show? What is this? I had not read it. It was not even available to me. So I just had this feeling. So I called my team. I said, I think I found a book. And they said, well, we should all read it. I'm like, no. I read it. Which I don't even know why they believed me, because it wasn't even available. I had not read it, but I knew if I did not get this now, I was not going to get this book. I just knew. And I said, if I don't get this, Reese Witherspoon is going to get this, and she's going to make this movie, and she's going to make this show. So let's figure this out. So they're like, we'll start because for everyone at home, getting the rights to something does not happen overnight. So I was like, I knew this would take months. And it did. And in those months of fighting with 3 different production companies, I read the book, the team read the book. And I had already been fighting for it before I read it. So I thought, oh shit, I hope I actually like this book, because I've made a whole fuss with everybody that I had to have it. So I read the book, and I read this in Cassie, and I knew this girl. I was like, oh, this is a show. This girl's like, I could play this is brilliant. This is so fun. This is what I'm going to do. So Peter Roth was running Warner Brothers at the time. Incredible human being, wonderful man, legacy at Warner Brothers, legend at Warner Brothers. And he was very close to me we're still close to this day. And I texted him. I got the rights. Months later, I got the rights. I got the book. I had my picture with the book. I said, well, now what am I supposed to do with this? Like, everyone's like, great, now what? Like, what do I do now? So I text Peter. I go, can I come see you? It was a Friday. Can I come see you today? Of course. What time? Coming in. Said, I have this book. I got to bring this in. I got the rights to this book. I don't know what I'm doing. Bring it in. Friday, I show him this book. I got this rights. I think it's a movie. And he goes, let me read it this weekend. I go, okay. Monday morning, he calls me. He goes, it's a show. And I said, you think so? And he goes, are you playing Cassie? I go, well, I hope so. Yes, please. He goes, let's do it on Monday. And I had no production. This is, by the way, I didn't have a production company. This was way before all of that. During the run of Big Bang, a bunch of us actors were offered companies over the years, and some took them sooner than others. I didn't. The whole time I was like, I don't want a production company. That sounds like a lot of work. I'm already bored thinking of how much work that's going to be. Like, no. So I kept saying no. And I said, one day I'll have a reason to have a production company. I'm not just going to have one and be like, now what? So when he greenlit Flight Attendant for me, the next day it was Yes Norman Productions. I got the name, I had an office, and I said, well, now what do I do? And I will credit Peter Roth with this. He says, I want you to meet with Greg Berlanti's company. I want them to do this with you. And I was like, why would they want to do this with me? Like, I was still feeling so, who's going to want to do this? Like, I think it's great, but I'm coming off Big Bang. Who's going to even think? There are even moments of like, you're like funny girl. Like, this is kind of serious, but by the way, the book, if you've read it, it's very serious drama. There is not an ounce of comedy. And I remember saying to Peter, I said, if I do this, we have to make it a little comedic, because this is what I do best. I can do the stuff, but I need that part of it. And he was like, of course. And so, long story short, partnered me with Sarah Schechter and Greg Berlanti, who read it and said, we want to do this with you, which shocked me. And Sarah, I said, I didn't think you want to do this. Sarah goes, a lot of people don't think we want to take on outside projects because, they have all their own stuff. And they were like, we're happy to do this. They partnered with me. We found Steve Yockey to write the script. And as we started writing these scripts, and I was the first time in my life I was part of the behind the scenes producer hat. This was very new to me, but I knew exactly what this show was going to be. And with partnering with Steve and the amazing producers that were helping us along the way, I just knew this character. I knew for months and months and months and months. I knew what it was. I knew who she was. And the more we wrote it and the quirkier, I thought, oh my God, I know. So once these scripts became real and we were about to shoot, I had a moment where I was talking to our director, and I said, before we started shooting, I'm like, do I think that I'm just going to be able to do this because I've done so much for so long? This is so different. This is different than are people going to think I'm crazy? Like, do I need to do this differently? Is what I said to myself and to our director. And she's like, what do you mean? I'm like, should I be preparing differently than I have my whole career? Because my whole career has been, it's going to be very, like I said, shooting from the waist. And I'm like, this is a big upheaval. And I started to panic. And I was like, maybe I need to think about this. Maybe I need to get an acting coach. Maybe I need to really sit and think about these scenes, this character. And after I had this insane, stressful moment, I was talking to our director. She was so wonderful. And she was like, why would you change anything that got you here today? Right. And I literally almost made me cry. It could make me cry now, because it was I felt so believed in that moment. Because for a second I thought, maybe I can't do this. Like, maybe I cannot do this. Look, what have I gotten myself into? Everything's come so easy for me, comedy and all this stuff. But this is like, and are people going to laugh at me? Are people going to go, why is this girl from Big Bang thinking she's going to lead this freaking big show? Like, I really started to question everything. And after that one night, I was like, I'm not changing a damn thing. Wow. Yeah. And I didn't. I did everything just the way I've been doing it from day one.
Thank God. Listen, when you said, should I get an acting coach? My thought is, why would you do that?
I literally
You
had
know,
that thought. I really thought
well,
it.
I know,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
no, listen, if people know you from Big Bang and think that's what you are, even before that you did Eight Simple Rules or whatever, they have to see you with this and other things, and also based on a true story and a role play. Is it what was the one
Role
that you did
play,
with?
yeah.
Yeah, there's you always bring. Here's the thing that you do. You know the material you're in, and you
Yeah.
take it seriously. So you go, this woman woke up in a hotel room in a situation. You play the truth of it.
Yeah.
And so in playing the truth of it, you can't not connect to emotionally the moments that are devastating or hurtful or sad, but you also can't help but be the person who's in that situation. And so her
Right.
responses are a little bit quirky
Right.
or whatever, you know. But
Yeah.
you know, I don't know why I feel proprietary toward you sometimes. I'm like, this woman's an actor, god damn it. I want everyone to know you're an actor.
You know, it's I think
I,
also in a job like that with like you're saying the quirkiness and all this stuff and because the tone was so new and literally we didn't have moments we were doing a comedy and a drama at the same time.
yeah.
It was a lot of options. I was always giving options. It's like, I'm going to cry in this one. I'm going to scream in this one. I'm going to laugh in this one. And, you know, some jobs don't require it. Sometimes this is what this is and it's a drama. But this one was not like that. And it was confusing at moments. We didn't know what things were going to look like in the edit. How are we going to do this? So it was option after option. I'm going to make my eyes really big in this crazy. Tom always says, "Oh, there come the frog eyes." Like I know right when to make those eyes real, you know, it's like get really close or, you know, and you don't know what they're going to pull. So it's like doing things like that in the moment. That's the fun. Like what is going to happen? What's going to happen?
Yeah. I think you have, I want people listening to this because this is a freaking podcast about technique. You have a technique. You have your own um, way in.
What do you think that, what is it?
Uh-oh.
So that I can tell people, can you tell me what?
Well, from working with you, should we switch to Love Kills?
Yeah.
Hey,
sure.
I should show for those of you watching on YouTube, look, that's Love Kills, the playbill. And this is me and Kaley and Tildy. For those of you watching, for those of you listening, you don't get to see it. Okay. From working on Love Kills, first of all, you are a very serious thinker about, you just thought about the play a lot and took it all very seriously. And then you and I would meet with Tom and we would rehearse, but sometimes just you and I would meet and we would rehearse. You ask questions that are about the makeup of the play. Like nothing that you never ask a question that's not in the play. See, that's another important thing. Actors will just go all off on stuff and be like, look at me, we're doing my work. I'm like, no, you're wasting time or you want to feel like you're working.
Right.
But you always were like this moment here or this line here or why. And sometimes I would say to you, because I let you do it early on, you would paraphrase to find your way in. And finally, when I knew that you knew it, I would go, Kaley, the line is not that, it's this. And you go, oh, that's different, isn't it? And then just by changing the language around, you'd be like, I'm playing something different because of what I said versus whatever, right? But you're finding you're doing it in a practical way by asking yourself questions. Even just now when you said, I'm going to laugh in this one or I'm going to cry in this one. Well, you know, Meisner has an entire part of his training where the actor identifies the workout they want to give in their temperament. You literally set yourself up to go, I'm going to give myself a workout in dread, joy, jealousy. You identify the temperament and then you have to set up to have that experience. I do think you have a movie in your head of kind of like what it looks like, and you do that, but then you get the fuck out of the way. And as you said, you just go, I'm just going to respond in the moment to how I'm being treated. And it may come out like this or it may come out like that. You're doing everything I'm training actors to do, but you just do it organically. It's just something you understand. It's a technique, but you don't have to name the steps of it. You don't have to.
Well, I couldn't if I tried. No.
Good.
Doing
Good.
that play was a real, I'm laughing about I'm also very, again, good or bad. Sometimes the dialogue comes out of my mouth in different ways that maybe I go, it naturally, sometimes it just naturally comes out and I don't really say what that is, or it's more clear to me this way. And I think it's funnier like this or whatever. I hover. I'm known to do that. And sometimes too much where I got to be like, okay, let's say what's on the page. I didn't realize you couldn't do that with plays.
Yeah.
I was like, can I just say this? Tom and Kevin were like, no, this is like an iconic play. These are words have been written hundreds of, no, you can't. And I was like, but I think it'd be better if they're like, no, you can't change the word. That was a hard one for me because
I know.
am very good at making something work. If I don't remember it, I'll just make it up. And a couple times I can just make it happen and no one, it was like, was that the line? Like, no, okay, it's all right.
Yeah.
I had to figure out how to do that in this play, but no, this was Kevin was amazing helping me in this play. I'd obviously never done a play before. My character had a huge opening monologue, which, I pride myself on having a really good memory, but this was really, and I literally said to Kevin, I said, I don't know how to do this. I don't know how I'm going to memorize this. I'm in such a panic. I don't want to look stupid. How do I do this? And honestly, Kevin, you literally taught me how to do that opening monologue. And it was I think after I spoke to you about it, I think I learned it in like 3 days. Like it was crazy how much you showed me how to do that. I couldn't even tell you what you told me in this moment. It was
No, the only thing I remember, we broke the logic of it. We looked at it logically. The logic was just we went from bigger to, like she's saying, I'm describing something and she describes a bigger version and then the smaller until we get to here. And so it was just logic, but you're right. You came back and you had it like that.
That was really hard, but you were just a joy. It was honestly amazing.
Yeah. First of all, I love that I directed you your first play. Secondly, when you said I've never done a play before and then you did the play, I was like, she's either bullshitting me or she has some fucking gene implanted in some DNA. By the way, moving into the theater, right? This is for everybody listening at home. We should also say that Kaley and Tom put this together as a what's it called? Not a charity.
It was during the writer's strike.
A fundraiser. Sorry.
It was
a fundraiser during the writer's strike. So here's Kaley and Tom doing all this work and they're not getting any money for it. They're doing it to raise money. So that's why Kaley's in a play. She's like, I'm doing something as a shadow. I am putting myself out there in a very nerve-wracking situation. But Carson and I, in our very first episode, talked about how what we do is a service. You do it for others. You don't do it for yourself. Mm-hmm. So I knew that also, that Kaley was nervous. So I'm like, all right, we'll take it easy. But I got to tell you, when we moved into the theater, you were the first person to to know how to be in that space.
Isn't that
all wild? The other, I'm telling you, the other actors, I had to coach them to be like, hey, we're not on Zoom anymore. Like we rehearsed it on Zoom because we were all over the country. And when we got into the theater and everyone got on stage and it was the first time and it was tiny, like on Zoom. And I'm like, you guys, you have to expand your circle of attention. You have to fill this space. You have to invite the audience. And I'll tell you now, Kaley, you were the last to go out. I'm like, what am I going to do when Kaley gets out there? She's a television actor. How do I get her to fill the space? You sly boots. You came out and you were the first to do it. I never had to say a word to you about it. You knew how to be in the room you were in. See, that's important. So when you're doing film, you know how to do film. But when you're in the theater, you're like, wow, this is the space I have to fill. You knew how to do it organically. Oh, I'm going to get you to do another play. I swear to God.
I'll only do it with you. How about that?
We're going to do it. You always say, no way.
No, I'm done. Now my play days are over. No, we were laughing because it was 4 days, 5 days, maybe it was maybe 6 performances. I don't even remember. It was just a few. And I remember we did opening night, which again is so fun. I mean, that was so fun, like getting ready and all the excitement, all stuff. And so we do it. And in my mind, I was like, why are we doing this again? Like, we did it. We shot it. Now
We shot it. Yeah.
why are we're going to do this again tomorrow? Like, well, we did it. Like, so just understanding. And Tom was like, oh my God, you could never do something that lasted 3 or 6 months. I was like, 3 or 6 months? Like, what? He's like, I'm like, oh God, I don't, I said, well, how do you, it was interesting too, because I rely so much on doing things different every take and doing something radically different that in my TV, whenever I'm doing TV and stuff, and I'm constantly changing how I'm doing things or even saying different words. It was actually really cool to do something the same play, right? Over and over, and finding the nuances and the differences, even though I wasn't changing much. You can't really, again, something I had to learn. You can't really change too much, but I was changing enough where I was finding different moments, different laughs, different things, that it was even more nuanced and more of a challenge, which I actually really enjoyed. It wasn't as easy for me to be like, okay, can I make this a little different tonight, but not too different, can't change much. So that was very cool.
No, and I watched pretty much all of, I only missed the last performance because I had to get back on a plane to New York, but I watched you do it 5 or so times, and you absolutely were improvising within the form that we had set.
Yes.
And it also helped that your partner was Tom, because the two of you just had so much fun. Like, he would say something differently, and I would see you catch it, like, you said it like that instead of like, this a cliche, or a misnomer about television actors. They do it the same way every time. No. I mean, you're certainly not like that. You go, what do you think take 2 is, or take 3? You do it differently,
Absolutely.
But I also have to say, by the way, by the time that thing went up, you were word perfect. You were saying the playwright's words.
I don't know how. It was very challenging.
Well,
again, I couldn't make anything up. I usually do, but I didn't make anything up.
I would have come on stage and stopped the show. Ladies and gentlemen, this woman is not saying the words right.
Yeah, I was not about to get in trouble for that.
Carson, I'm sorry. Kaley and I are hogging up everything. Do you have any questions or comments?
I love it. I'm taking notes. Actually, yeah, just because this is you've done something that some actors never in their whole career ever do, and that's have the same job for a number of years. How was, like, in terms of how does that affect does that help you in terms of deepening, grounding yourself because it's a familiar environment, or does it get old every now and then and you have to find a way to make it new? Because most actors are going job to job every month, every year, whatever. I'd like to hear about that.
Right? What a gift. I mean, 12 years on Big Bang. I don't think any of us, well, you could never assume something like that could happen. That was probably the last of its kind. I actually kind of hope it's not the last of its kind, but that was a rarity. That was a mix of a science experiment that went right. That's a group of actors that know what they're doing. The writing was impeccable. It just landed at the right moment. I mean, season 1, which just feels like 100 years ago, we did 8 episodes, and after the 8 episodes, we got shut down because of that writer's strike. And that's the time when they were like, everyone go home. The shows you're never coming back. Like, we had done 8 episodes, and no one had barely been seen. And we packed our dressing rooms. I mean, we were really ready to audition and be done. Like, we hugged each other as if we weren't seeing each other again. And some little magic happened with those 8 episodes. They reran them over and over. They started showing them on planes. And we got this really weird culty audience that really wanted to see more of these heartfelt, nerdy characters that lived next to this girl who loved them, and people just kind of fell in love with it. So it started off literally no one was into it, and then they were, and we slowly grew. And then as the years went on, I mean, 12 years, we had there were so many moments on that show, and it was, I give my whole career to that time, you know, to Chuck Lorre. I would not be where I am today without that show. And it was, for the most part, a blast. 12 years, you're going to have your moments, you have your fights, you have your things. But us as a cast, like, it never got boring. I think that's also why it was in front of an audience. So we were constantly, it's just new. It's like a play. Every week you get to like make this audience laugh. And if you didn't make them laugh, they come in and give you something else to make them laugh. You're like, maybe I'll get them this time. And like, it was really a constant, I'd say most of the time, an absolute joy. And it definitely never got old. And over the years, you know, the audiences became, they were fans of our show. It wasn't just people who were filling the audience. So people who really wanted to be there and who knew the characters. I mean, by the middle of, I don't know, season 6 or 7, our audiences knew us so well. They were already laughing before words were coming out of our mouth. They had to tell them, like, let the words come, you know, because they just knew what Sheldon was going to say, or they knew I was going to roll my eyes at something they did. And it was just really, it was a phenomenon. It was one of those things that I think people are still trying to emulate and find something that special. I mean, I always felt Friends was that. I felt Seinfeld was that. I grew up with those shows. And I didn't think that they'd ever make something like that again. And then Big Bang came and we did something kind of different. And I don't know, it was a very special time, but 12 years, never boring. I had a job for that long. It's unbelievable. Met some amazing people and learned how to, I learned how to kind of work with an audience, even on my very short run on 8 Simple Rules. But that was also with John Ritter, who literally in the 1 year I spent with that man taught me everything that I know without him trying to teach me anything. Watching him, I was 16 and I spent a year straight with him until he passed away. And it was that year, and I talk about it a lot. I get asked this question a lot. That year was very formative for me in the sense of a human, being on sets and being a comedic actor. But it was being around John, who was constant. I'd watch him do these takes. He was the king of doing it different every time. And even just to make someone laugh, and just to make, even if, and again, not on the page, and like, he'd say something so off the wall, and the joy that he brought to that set. I thought, oh my God, that's the joy I want to bring to every set that I'm on. And we talked about earlier, the number one on the call sheet, or it's a tree and you're at the top of the tree and everything you do just like trickles down this tree. That was John Ritter. And he was the gift that kept giving. And to this day, I think of that time and how transformative that was for me as an actor on sets, but watching him be so funny and do something different every second. He never did the same take twice, but he never told me to. I just watched him, and he was never teaching. He was just being, and it was so beautiful.
It's beautiful. There's a generosity in that, isn't it? He would do it to try to bring joy. Like, I'm going to do something different to make that person laugh. That's a generous thing to do.
He would literally, we'd be in the middle of a scene, and you know, it's a family show. So like there'd always be family issues and things with the kid. And we'd be in this serious moment and he'd be looking at me and he'd go, does anyone else have to pee? And like the whole audience and then he'd just be like, did they hear me say that? And then just these simple, and people screaming, laughing, like, obviously that's not, and then he'd just go start talking as if no one heard him just say, does anyone else have to pee? Is that just me? Okay, I'll wait. And then he'll just keep, just like very silly. But that's where that's the love, like that's the generosity. That's like sharing the joy. And to this day, I do shit like that all the time when we're shooting. These hours are long. These crew members are working their asses off. Like they are there. And you know who gets all the accolades? We do. But they're doing so much day in and day out to make you look good. So you better bring that joy. And I learned that a long time ago, and I will never lose that.
We had a previous episode where we talked about collaboration. And collaboration is not just with your fellow actors. Like you just said, they're working their asses off. We look good, but nobody knows that they're there, but they're your collaborator, and you're their collaborator too.
It is a
very important.
It is a team
Um,
effort.
Yeah. All right. We don't want to keep you too long, but
Oh, it's been a
thank
joy.
you. Thank you again for doing this. I wanted
Thank
to
you.
ask you one question, which is whether who do you admire as actor? Do you know that I'm going to say the craziest thing? Again, you may be like, "What?" I think you're our generation's Carol Lombard. Do you know Carol Lombard from the 40s? She was in those screwball comedies. It's amazing how she can be completely serious, but in a crazy situation. And the
Oh,
humor comes from her, that life force, right? Carol Lombard. Everyone listening to my voice, go watch a movie called My Man Godfrey. My Man
okay.
Godfrey. You're our generation of that. I don't know anybody else who can do what you do.
So nice. Oh my God.
Well, who do you admire? Is there an actor that you emulated in order you go like, oh, I want that to I understand, or has it always been just no? I'm my damn self. I'm not emulating anymore. But are there actors you admire other than that knucklehead you live with?
I he's definitely the number one. No one can act their socks off the way Tom Pelphrey can. I grew up being so obsessed with Friends that when people would say, "Oh, you remind me of Jennifer Aniston," I would like lose my mind. I just absolutely loved her. But any female comedians today that don't take themselves seriously, I love. Kristen Wiig, Melissa McCarthy, everyone on SNL. To me, when you can really make fun of yourself and still be so brilliant at what you do, that's the stuff that I love. That's the stuff that I love, and that's what I want to watch, and that's what I want to continue doing. It's like the Lucille Balls, the John Ritters, the Pratfalls. Making fun of yourself, self-deprecating. We're not. This isn't like life-changing work. We're we're entertaining people, and you should be enjoying it. And when you enjoy it, everyone is going to enjoy watching you. And that's
Yeah.
why I'm picking things that I'm really enjoying doing, because you can see the love.
Well, that's great. So I don't think probably can't talk about it yet, but you were shooting something in France, and that'll come out soon.
Yeah, I was shooting a limited called Vanished. It'll be
It's
out
called Vanished.
on Vanished.
Vanished.
Yeah,
Okay.
with Sam Claflin, and that comes out I think probably next year on Amazon. And so that I just
Great.
got back from that, and now
Yeah.
I'm now playing mom at home.
You're back to your mom. You always were mom, but now you're playing mom.
Exactly.
Thank you so much for coming on.
Thanks,
Thank you.
guys. I hope I didn't ruin your whatever Meisner is. I hope I didn't ruin whatever that is for you.
The same way I've never seen Big Bang. Kaley's like, what's this fucking Meisner? No, in fact, you're the reason we have this podcast, because you come on and you go, I work and I work well. I don't know that technique, but I have my own way in. And sometimes it's better to not even know what it is. I know what I do, but please don't make me talk about it. And it's sometimes better to not talk about it. You could talk yourself out of it,
It's simple. Work
So-
hard, show up on time, be considerate of your actors, be on time. Like, it's very simple things. Be a joy, have fun. It's okay to let loose. It's okay to not take things so seriously.
Absolutely. Well, listen, I wouldn't want to do this without you coming on. So we'll end on this one. When I asked Tom is my former student and good friend, so of course I asked him. I would say about 30 minutes after I asked him, I get an email. Hey, what am I? When am I going to come on? You don't ask me to come on.
I couldn't believe
Kaley.
it. I was like, are you going
Kaley.
to ask me to be on this podcast, or what the hell is going on here? I know I don't have a process, but I can still talk about, I've been doing this a long time. There'll be some good conversation. So
For those of you not watching and just listening, Kaley put air quotes around process.
I did. I will do that, and I will do that to the end of time.
Oh, well. Well, listen, I love you.
Love you too.
Thank you so much for doing this, and we'll say goodbye now.
Thank you.
Episode.
Look out for your dog treats. I'll be sending them in.
Thank you.
Kaley, Carson
you.
got a new puppy, and Kelly's going to send treats from.
Norman.
Norman is
Oh,
Norman.
Norman.
They're my dog's favorite, and no one told me to say that.